Alright, look, I know you guys see it just as well as I do, but I'm gonna be the one to say it. Uraraka is thick, and for a female heroine, I really dig that. But you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put this back before I get too far ahead of myself. Just a friendly reminder from your boy Animated Heroes, don't forget to check out my boys at Sculptimo Toys for the best figures, best prices, and fastest shipping if you guys haven't already. Let's get into it. What the heck is up, you guys? Animated Heroes here, back with another action figure review. And as you can see today, we're going to be taking a look at the My Hero Academia McFarlane Toys Ochaco Uraraka. And after seeing the new My Hero Academia movie, I'm sure you guys already know exactly why I'm stoked for this figure. So let's not waste any time and go ahead and take a look at that sexy packaging so we can bust the figure out and see what it's all about. Now for that sexy packaging, it is nothing that we haven't seen before. It's definitely unsexy, but as you guys can see, we got My Hero Academia at the top right there with the window packaging. Ochaco Uraraka right there. It says ages 12 and up, but we're going to go ahead and follow the instructions that it says at the beginning of my video. Kids, stay away from these figures. At the top, you got pictures of all the characters, as you guys can see. I dig that. That's probably the only part of the box I like. At the bottom, you can see I paid a ridiculous price for this figure because I got it from GameStop. On the side, it does say Ochaco Uraraka, Funimation at the bottom. My Hero Academia right here, McFarlane Toys up there, Funimation at the bottom. And then, of course, on the back, we do have a picture of the figure and then the other two that come in the wave. 7-inch action figures, as you guys can see, and then a way to reach McFarlane and all of their places that you can find them at. So, yeah, that being said, nothing out of the ordinary, nothing too swaggy, nothing too cool. But let's go ahead and bust this figure out because that's what we all want to see. Alright, look, I'm going to go ahead and say it. This figure, straight out of the packaging, is already better than anything that they put out in the entirety of the first wave. In terms of looks, paint, and detail, there's not nearly as many paint flaws. The articulation, you guys already know, is spot on. I played with it a bit. But just in terms of how this figure came out, is much better than Shigaraki, All Might, Deku, and Bakugo because there's not a whole lot of paint flaws and everything seems to be a lot more consistent. And the face looks amazing. I really just like the look of this, and I'm glad that it turned out well because I really enjoy Ochaco as a character. So this just makes me even more excited to have this figure. Initially, I bought it just to review it, but as of right now, if things keep up the way they are, I'm probably going to keep this figure. And so I will say, guys, if you're looking for a replacement, or not necessarily a replacement, but just a way to keep you from spending 50, 60 bucks on the Figma, so far, this is the way to go. But let's go ahead and put her back and see how tall she stands, and then we'll dive further into the figure itself. So in case you missed it, she is of the 7-inch scale, but thankfully she's not right at 7 inches. She stands about 6¼ inches tall, so a little bit under 6½, which is fine. I think she's going to fit in scale with the rest of the characters very well. I'm just very happy that they didn't make her 7-inch because I do know that finally McFarlane is going based off of scaling purposes instead of just building all their figures to 7-inch. So she does stand pretty well. Of course, we'll see how she stands with other figures a little bit later in the video. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that articulation. Now for our articulation, she does look up about that much, down that much, which is a whole lot better. She does get very good tilt out of her head. Her arms go up and out about that much. Of course, you can bring them all the way around. She has a slight butterfly joint, but it's not very effective with how thin her shoulders are. She does have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows that work very well. Hands are on a ball peg, but of course they're a little bit hindered because of the wristbands, which are to be expected. Now as far as crunching forward with her diaphragm joint, it does work pretty well. She goes much further back than forward. And then of course you can use the waist to get an even better crunch, but it will pop off, so be careful with that. But it pops back on very easy, and as you guys can see, she does have a waist swivel and she crunches forward about that much. crunches back about that much. Now her legs do not go out far at all, but of course we already know why. It's because she's thick. Now they do go out about that much. Now these will pop off, so I just want to let you guys know, be careful with that. She has a slight thigh swivel that's built in there. Works a little bit better on this leg than this one. And as far as her knees, they are actually double jointed. It looks like a single joint just because of this piece right here, this boot piece, but it's actually double jointed and they bend back very far, so I'm cool with that. Now as far as her legs go, you don't really get anything out of the bottom here, but the good thing is she does stand very well. It's just that it's not gonna work if you want to pose her very far out like this, because her feet are not going to sit flat. But other than that, I mean, she does work very well in terms of posing. Now for her accessories, this is where I kind of have a problem with this figure. Not to say she doesn't come with enough, but there's one issue. I'll go ahead and start with what she has. As you guys can see, she comes in the package with her hands for activating her quirk when she makes things float. As you guys can see, you can put them together, but you can't get it in the exact correct pose, and I can't get them to stay either. Like, they'll kind of flip around every time that I try to put them together. But she does come with those, which is great. She comes with basically another trigger hand, which I don't understand, and she comes with one fist. McFarlane, this is something that needs to stop. If you're going to give a character fist hands, give them two. I have never seen a character fight with one fist while their other hand is open. Like, give them two fist hands. That's the only thing I hate. And lastly, she does come with her helmet, which looks very weird once you put it on. I think it's just because of the way that the glass of it looks. I'm not sure, but I'll go ahead and show you guys that now. Now, she didn't come with any instructions at all to do this, but basically all you do is pull the head out of the hair, and as you guys can see, you just wedge it up in here the best that you can. And I'm not going to do this on camera because this is too much of a pain in the ass, so I'll show you what it looks like after I'm done. Now, I see what they were trying to do with this, and it actually looks a whole lot better than it did at Toy Fair when I was playing with it. This doesn't look bad on her, but as you guys can see, there's one issue I have. The hair piece on the right side kept moving up when you try to wedge the head in there, and I feel like they should have designed this a little bit better. Now, for a $20 figure, I know they probably didn't want to do this in separate parts. They wanted to try to keep it as simple as possible, but this should have been 3 separate parts. It should have been the head, the hair, and then the helmet, because this is a pain in the ass to get positioned in there, and I know it's going to be a pain to take out as well. So I don't really like this, and I'm probably never going to pose her with this on. And the last accessory that she comes with is, of course, her flight stand, which is the exact same one you get with the McFarlane Toys Justice League Superman. It's nothing special. It's just one base piece and a clamp right here, and at the bottom it does say My Hero Academia, and it's cool to get these, but I will probably never use them in photos just because of how huge they are and how much they stand out. Now, starting out with the size comparisons, here this is for the 5 people who still haven't realized that these figures don't scale together at all. Here she is standing next to the Figma Bakugo and the Figma Deku. And so as you guys can see, she does tower over both of them. These will not scale together in photos well at all, unless you can force it with one character in the background and one in the front. Other than that, they don't go together. Now here she is standing next to 2 figures that matter a little bit more. She's standing next to the McFarlane Toys All Might and the McFarlane Toys Shigaraki. As you guys can see, she still is a little bit too tall. I feel like the All Might is the wrong size, so that might be part of the problem. But I think she stands right with Shigaraki, because Shigaraki's still pretty young, so that might be correct. But yeah, you can wedge this a whole lot better than Figma. Lastly, here she is standing next to 2 figures from 2 separate lines. She's standing next to the Mezco Sovereign Knight Batman and the McFarlane Toys Justice League Superman. I do think she scales with Superman a whole lot better than she does Batman, as you guys can see, because she's still a little bit too tall. But other than that, she looks great. Now, a lot of people like to give McFarlane Toys flack for their figures and point out the negativity all the way around. I'm not that type of person. Quite frankly, I enjoy their figures and I try to point out the positive things, unless it's an absolute bad figure, which I haven't seen that with anything I've picked up. This figure's solid. The paint is a whole lot better than everything they released in the first wave. The accessories outline the characters and her abilities, so I really think that they did everything very well. I'm happy with this figure. The only two gripes that I mentioned are the helmet, which is a whole lot more of a pain than it's worth. I've just decided I'll leave that alone and go with the Figma version, and the fact that she doesn't come with two fist hands. That is like my biggest pet peeve with this figure. The fact that it comes with one fist hand. I cannot stand that. I wish that was something that they would just fix already, because every action figure that comes with a fist needs two. So not to harp on that, the figure is solid, and I've decided I'm going to go back, get Deku, and I'm just going to keep collecting this line as a whole, because at first I didn't want to have two separate My Hero Academia lines, but I'm really enjoying these, so why not add them to my collection? So that's how I feel about this figure, and I hope you guys did enjoy this review. If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, because that always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more content, and follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep up with my activity outside of YouTube. I'm Animated Heroes, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.